Today's tutorial is going to take a look at Adobe Spark. We'll walk through how to sign in and the various functions of the application so you can determine just how you can use it with students in your classroom. Let's take a look. So the first thing that we'll have to do when we use Adobe Spark is get our students signed in. These steps that I'm going to cover regarding sign in are a one-time thing, so it's a bit of front loading with your students. However, once they've signed into their initial account, all they'll simply need to do is click on the application and it'll take them directly to their account from here on out. So on your iPad's home screen, you'll need to look for Spark Video. As you can see on this iPad, it is the red Spark Video application in the middle of the screen, and it's also down here in my application toolbar. So go ahead and select that application. Once you've selected that application, you'll be taken to a screen that looks similar to this. Because we have an education account, you will want your students to select Login in the lower right-hand portion of the screen. Once students select Login, they will then enter their K-12 email address and select Continue. The next step is going to be for students to select company or school account. You do not want them to select personal account because they're using their K-12 email address. So select company or school account, and then you'll be taken to the K-12 single sign-on screen where your students will need to enter their password, and then they can select Sign In. Once students have selected Sign In, they will receive one additional prompt, and it's going to ask them whether or not they would like to stay signed in. Because we do not want to continually repeat these steps with our students each time they would like to use Adobe Spark, you want to prompt students to select the Yes option so that from here on out, they'll automatically be taken to their Adobe Spark account. Please keep in mind, though, that this option would be for students who are using their own iPad. So if you have multiple students who are using a single iPad, selecting yes may not be the perfect option for you. If, however, you have students who are assigned iPads and only one student is using an iPad at a time, then you would want to use that select yes option. Now that the sign in process has been completed, it's time to take a look at Adobe Spark and see just what we can do on it. So in order to create our first presentation, you'll need to go to the lower portion of the screen and select the red plus button. Once you've selected this plus button, you're going to see that there are a couple of different options that you can select in order to create a video. You have the option to start with photos, use story template, or skip to editor. If you start with My Photos, that option is going to take you directly to Google Drive, where you would select photos from your Google Drive to use as your background templates for your presentation. If you select Use Story Template, you'll be able to select from a variety of pre-made presentation templates in which you'll simply just need to fill in the information as you go. Let's take a look at what Use Story templates look like, just so that you can get a feel for what they look like within Adobe Spark. As you can see on this screen, one example of a pre-made presentation is called Tell What Happened. Under each pre-made presentation, you'll see the title of it, and you'll also see a description of what that means. So for example, we're saying share a family vacation, success to celebrate, or just something that happened to you. So if you're wanting students to maybe even do a virtual show and tell, this would be a great option that you could have your students use. Once you select the template, you'll then be taken to the presentation layout. As you can see on this slide, we have our first prompt, which is describe who or what your story will follow. We'll get into just how to edit these here in a little bit, but I'm just showing you the pre-made templates. If we take a look at the next template, you'll see that the description is to show the background or setting for what happened. So you could have students insert a picture here, or this would be where they would begin to actually describe what the event was and what was happening. This third slide prompts the presenter to describe the first thing that happened. So as you can see, it's going through that story format and it just helps provide that guide. So maybe if your learners aren't quite ready for story format, they have something that's helping them tell the story along the way. These story templates would also be a good option if you're looking to differentiate your presentation format for students. You could have your more advanced learners create their own template from scratch, and you could have your lower or your students who just need a little bit of a push. You could provide them with this template so that they have that structured guidance that they need in order to be successful. Going back to the initial creation screen, we're going to take a look at the skip to editor option. So this is the option that I am going to be using to show you the in-depth details of Adobe Spark, just so that you can see exactly how to create a presentation from scratch, because this is the option that many of you will probably want to use with your students. Now that I have selected the editor option, I'm taken to a completely blank presentation that I will create from scratch. In order to edit each block, you are going to select this plus button in the middle of the block. After you've selected that plus button, you'll see that you have various options for things that you can add to your block. So for example, you have videos you can add text, photo, and you can also have the option to add icons. I will walk you through each of these and how you can add them and what their functionality is so that you can get an understanding of how you can incorporate these with your students. The first option is video. So when you select video, you'll be taken to My Videos. These are the videos that you have stored on your iPad. And so you would be taken to your iPad option and you can just select the videos from there. They will be automatically inserted into the presentation. The next option here is to add text. To add text, use the keyboard located in the lower left-hand portion of the screen. If you would like to enlarge or decrease the size of your text, you go to this size option here in the middle of the screen. The T minus is the decrease size and the T plus is the increase size option. And so you can just have students play around with the size of their font so that they can decide what will fit best with their presentation. Alongside the text option is then the icon option. To find an icon, you'll use this search toolbar where I have typed lion. And once I've searched, I get all of these different lion icons that I can use. If I select an icon, it is going to fill in the screen. So this entire box here will be filled up. So that eliminates my text. That's just one thing to keep in mind with the icon option because it's not as user friendly and it would be a better option if that's what you're using just to have as more of a graphic image rather than text. The next option is the photo option. You'll see that you have options to add your own photos, to search for photos, and you can also take a picture. If you're adding your own photos, you can add from Google Drive, Google Photos, Dropbox, Creative Cloud, etc. So there are many options for you to be able to add. You can also add directly from your iPad by selecting My Photos. However, if you don't have photos for your presentation, Find Free Photos is a great option for you to be able to use. And this is especially good too for your students who maybe aren't that great with photography or who are struggling to find the images in the real world. And so they can just search for them and they're free. So we don't have to worry about copyright. I've selected here the photo option and I've looked for Find Free Photos. In my search bar, I have typed lion and I've pressed search, and you can see these are all of the options for lion that come up. So it's not like you just get one or two photos, you get a wide variety. On the screen here, also, I'm able to scroll down, and there are many more additional lion photos as well. I'm showing you another example here in my search bar. I've selected Africa, and so that you can see if I just type that general word, the different types of photos that come up. And so if I am going to select a specific photo, I want to show you here what that's going to look like. So if I select this photo right here where my arrow is, you can see that it automatically just filled up the entire presentation. However, you're not limited to just having the photo fill up the entire presentation. If you use your fingers, as in this example, you can drag your image out and you can drag your image in to zoom in or to zoom out as well. So you do have options to kind of play around with the image and to get it to look just the way you want. So even within your image, let's say I picked this one down here and I wanted to zoom in specifically on the tree, I could use my fingers to zoom in on that tree and get it just the way that I would like. Once you have your image the way that you like it, you select done. And then you can see that we're taken back to the general layout page where I have my slide. This would also be a good time to note that Adobe refers to slides as blocks within their program. So throughout the rest of this tutorial, you'll hear me use slides and blocks interchangeably just because we're typically used to referring to these blocks as slides. Now that I've shown you the options for video, photo, and text, I am going to show you how to add audio to your presentation. This is a neat option if you want to personalize your presentation rather than just typing words. You can have students add their voice to describe the block that is being presented. To add audio, you'll simply press this microphone button here. And as you can see in this photo, you press and hold the microphone. So you press and hold the microphone button as you speak. And right here, where we have this seconds counting, that's where you can tell how long you've been speaking. So as soon as you lift your finger up from this red microphone button, the audio is going to stop recording, even if you keep speaking. So just keep that in mind that in order to fully record, you have to press and hold that button and not just press it down because that isn't going to work. Another thing to note with the audio is that the audio that you're recording is going to be for this specific block only. So as you can see down here, I have different blocks. If I want the audio on this block here that I have highlighted, I would need to actually scroll to that block and record for it. So what I'm recording for right now is only going to appear on this African desert block. As you're working on your presentation, you'll want to add additional blocks. To do that, you go down here to this plus button and you just click it, and additional blocks will be added. Up here in this toolbar, we have some additional things that we can do to edit and customize our presentation. We have layout, theme, an option to resize, add music, and then to eventually share when we are completed. The next part of this tutorial is going to walk you through each of these options so that you can see how you can use them to customize the presentation. So let's take a look at layout. When you select layout, you can see that you have some different options. We have full screen, which is what is currently on our screen. We have split screen. We also have an option for a caption, and then just simply a title and text option. So really, it just depends on your presentation. Split screen might be a good option if you want students to include a picture and text. As you'll see in my example presentation, full screen is great, but when you try to add text, it can make the words sometimes look too blurry or too soft. So if you use that split screen mode, it separates the picture from the text and it just makes the text easier to read. This is an example of what split screen would look like. You can see that the image has been added over here, and then I would add additional text by selecting this plus button here in the middle of the screen. Next are the themes. So Adobe has pre-made themes that you can use and select. You can see some examples here. Also, when you're in this screen area right here, you have the option to scroll down and there are numerous themes for you to be able to choose. In order to preview a theme, you can simply just hover over it, like this example here, and the different slide options will thumb through automatically. So if you want to select a theme, all you need to do is click it and it will be automatically applied to your blocks. Now we're taking a look at the resize option. Right now we are in widescreen mode and we also have an option for square mode. This example here gives you an option of what square mode would look like. It simply just turns everything into a square. If you are using full screen mode, this could be a good option for you. However, if you're having your students use that split screen mode, I would highly encourage you to keep that widescreen mode so that they're able to have the image and the text and it's not too compact and squished together. Now let's take a look at music. Music's a nice feature that you can add. Music and audio can be combined, so if you're having students record their voice, the music would just play softly in the background as their voice audio plays over it. With the music option, you have the option to add My Songs, but because we're using our K-12 accounts, we're not going to take a look at this option at this time. We want to take a look at the options that are provided by courtesy of Adobe Spark. And so we have different categories. As you can see, we have happy, down here we have playful. If you continue to scroll, there are various different categories that you can search through with different songs within each. If you want to take a look at a song, you simply just click on it, and then down here is where it will play. If you would like to add a song to the presentation, click the song and then you select this Done option, and the music will automatically be added to your presentation. So just to switch things up for you, I've taken the presentation and I've turned the block into the square mode so that you can see what that would look like. One of the last things that I would like to go over with you today is how to determine the length of each block that you have for your presentation. So you can see there's this little timer with the amount of time for each block that is completely adjustable. In order to change that, you simply just click the clock with the time, and with your finger, you'll drag along this line here to determine how long you want each block to play. Once you've completely finished your presentation, your option is to share it. And so let's take a look at what we can do when we share. You'll select share and your presentation will save to your camera roll on your iPad. So please note that it doesn't save to a hard drive or a desktop because we're not using an actual computer. It's going to save to the camera roll that is on our iPad. Once the presentation has fully loaded, you'll be able to go to your camera roll to view the presentation, and from there you can determine just exactly how you would like to share it.
Lions typically live in warm, dry climates.
I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on Adobe Spark and that through this tutorial, you have been able to see what the application's like, see its functionality, and determine if it's a good fit for your students. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We'll see you next time.